As we bring our children into our consciousness this Child Month, let us endeavor to do what we can to ensure that the Child Care and Protection Act works for them. The laws of the land will have no teeth unless we put them into action. Every adult has a responsibility under the law to care and protect every Jamaican child. If you know or suspect that a child is being abused or is in need of care and protection, report it. Don't keep it to yourself. It's the show that keeps you connected with everything that's happening in Jamaica. The magazine unfolds now with a word of advice, followed by the news.
Is your silence worth the life of a child? Report child abuse. Call the Office of the Children's Registry at 1-888-PROTECT. Be the change. Speak out. Protect our children.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale and this is your JIS News for Monday, May 18. Government is expanding the number of agencies to which reports of child abuse can be made. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller made the announcement during a broadcast to the nation Sunday night to address issues affecting children. Mrs. Simpson Miller also explained the circumstances under which parents may find themselves being charged for parental neglect. During its sitting last week, Cabinet approved the drafting of legislation to create the new offence.
When this comes into effect, a parent whose child is found in circumstances consistent with inadequate parental care and attention can be charged and tried for parental neglect. Such circumstances will include children found unsupervised on the streets or other public places late at night, or a child found living with an adult where the arrangement exposes the child to the risk of sexual or other abuse.
The Prime Minister said her administration was giving urgent attention to ensuring there was a safe and prosperous environment to nurture the development of Jamaica's children. She called on all Jamaicans to raise their voices and speak out against child abuse and violence. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller will be leading members of her government in a series of town hall meetings to engage citizens on issues affecting children. Youth and Culture Minister Lisa Hanna made the announcement on Sunday during the 2015 Workers' Week Thanksgiving service in Kingston.
She's getting on the road. So on the 28th of this month, she'll be in Clarendon. She'll be in Westmoreland. She'll be in other parishes where we see that the upsurge of abuse is taking place, because there are certain parishes and we're driven by data.
The Youth Minister further explained the initiative on JIS TV's Issues and Answers program. She said the Prime Minister would also be leading her team to St. Thomas, St. Catherine, Hanover, and Kingston and St. Andrew.
And having the courageous conversation to say, look, this cannot continue. The government, here's what the government is doing and has done to arrest the development and protect our children. But you have your responsibility to play as well.
In the meantime, government is also making children the focus of this year's Labor Day activities, with persons asked to create spaces of beauty and safety for children. The Senate has passed the Evidence Amendment Bill 2014. It seeks to simplify the procedure for which computer-generated material and the reports of experts are entered into evidence. Justice Minister Senator Mark Golding says the revised law will make the process less costly and reduce delays. Individuals who rely on computer-generated evidence will now have to get a certificate from the person who operated the machine.
That certificate, if admitted, will be deemed to be evidence of the facts stated therein as to the machine having been working at the relevant time.
This in turn would clarify any suspicion about whether the computer or machine was working properly at the time the evidence was gathered. The bill, which was passed on May 8 with 10 amendments, received support from members of the opposition. As of next week, Tuesday, passports for adults and minors will cost more. The Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, says the price of an adult passport will now cost $6,500, while the cost of a passport for a minor will move to $4,000. PICA says the increases are necessary to cover inflation and the movement in the exchange rate. In addition, the agency will be self-sufficient this fiscal year and will get no funding from government. PICA will also be introducing a same-day service at its headquarters on Constant Spring Road in St. Andrew. That will cost $16,500 for adults and $9,000 for minors. The new fees will also allow PICA to employ more immigration officers and staff, as well as improve its technological capacity. And finally, the Jamaica Business Development Corporation will be offering business support services to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises (MSMEs) at an upcoming conference. The JBDC's 8th Annual Small Business Exposition and Conference will be held at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel on May 21. It will focus on innovative packaging and marketing solutions, networking strategies, export readiness, forming global partnerships, and how to use technology to connect with clients around the world.
Business linkages between international companies and local suppliers contribute to improved competitiveness and increased trade and investment. It is also a key channel to developing closer integration, openness to trade, stimulating foreign direct investment, and helping firms to become part of international production and supply networks.
There will be more than 30 exhibitors from various sectors, and patrons will get the chance to meet with these entities and access business support services. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Tamar McHale. Thank you for watching.
Some water with you, please.
Water gone. But me need water for cook. So how me go wash?
Let's weather the drought. Start conservation measures today. Check for leaks around your house. Opt for shorter showers over long baths. Reuse water to water plants and lawn. Watch the amount of water you and your family use. Try cooking methods that don't require much water. And if you have a vehicle, avoid washing it regularly. Remember, water is as important as the air we breathe. So conserve our water, conserve our life.
Any law that we can bring that will ensure parents will think twice to hurt a child, we are to do it.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller made good on that promise with news that amendments have been approved for harsher penalties for those who abuse and neglect the nation's children. That story plus others are next in your Jamaica House Weekly News Roundup.
Harsher penalties coming for child abusers.
Thank you for partnering with the government of Jamaica to address some of the pressing social needs of our people.
Prime Minister Simpson Miller expresses gratitude for U.S. medical mission and Commodore Skills Training Center opened. This is Jamaica House Weekly with Stacey Ann Smith.
Too many of our children are being subjected to the heart-rending violence and physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, many times carried out by family members and other persons they trust. This must be dealt with immediately and firmly.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller in a broadcast to the nation Sunday night. Mrs. Simpson Miller said acts of violence against children were unacceptable and the government was moving to increase the punishment for child abusers.
Work is also underway for legislation to be passed to create a new offense of parental neglect. When this comes into effect, a parent whose child is found in circumstances consistent with inadequate parental care and attention can be charged and tried for parental neglect.
These circumstances include children left unsupervised on the streets or at home, and those children found living with adults where they're exposed to sexual abuse. The Prime Minister also urged Jamaicans to report every suspected case of child abuse and show love to every child in their community. And as the Prime Minister leads the charge to improve the care and protection of the nation's children, she chaired a stakeholders meeting on children. The May 12 meeting looked at children's issues and the responses needed to improve their care and protection. Prime Minister Simpson Miller also participated in the Thanksgiving service to launch Workers' Week and Labor Day activities.
Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain.
The service was held at the Greater Grace Temple in St. Andrew. This year's Labor Day activities on May 25 will focus on children and is being held under the theme Labor of Love, Nurturing Our Children. And at Wednesday's Jamaica House media briefing, Information Minister Senator Sandria Faulkner first gave reporters an update on Cabinet's decision to amend certain laws to better protect children. Senator Faulkner spoke to some of the impending changes to the Child Care and Protection Act and the Criminal Justice Administration Act.
Cabinet has also asked that the necessary administrative steps be taken to improve stiffer penalties for persons who murder, rape, or commit other serious violent offenses against children. The victim's status as a child will be treated as an aggravating feature, resulting in a substantial uplift in the sentence on conviction.
And as for the Criminal Justice Administration Act,
efforts are being made to ensure that cases relating to violence against children will be afforded priority scheduling and disposal in the courts.
And Senator Faulkner also announced appointments to the boards of the Clarendon Alumina Production Limited, CAP, and the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, the JCDC. Dr. Vincent Lawrence will serve as CAP chairman, while Aston Cook will continue to chair the board of the JCDC. The two boards will serve for 2 years, from May 4, 2015 to May 3, 2017. On Wednesday, May 13, the Prime Minister thanked the medical mission aboard the U.S. naval ship Comfort for its week-long work to bring quality health care to Jamaicans free of cost.
Your work is a fitting tribute to the long and abiding relationship that continues to be enjoyed by the governments and people of the United States of America and of Jamaica. Your humanitarian efforts have served to strengthen the special bond of friendship that our countries and people share.
The Prime Minister delivered her message at a closing ceremony for the mission dubbed Continuing Promise at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston. Over 100 medical and engineering personnel provided optometry, dentistry, pediatric, surgical, pharmacy, and other needed medical attention to Jamaicans. On Thursday, the Prime Minister broke ground for the construction of 8 new classrooms at the Balaclava High School in St. Elizabeth. The project is estimated to cost $40 million and will be funded by a loan from the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB. When it's completed this September, the school will be renamed the Roger Clark High School in honor of the late Minister of Agriculture and former Member of Parliament for North East St. Elizabeth. The Minister responsible for sport, Natalie Nita Headley, was on hand to open the Commodore Skills Training Centre in Bog Walk, St. Catherine this past week.
It is important because once you have completed this training here, whether you get a job immediately or you get a job 6 months later, you get a job 1 year later, once you are trained for life.
The $3 million centre was delivered under the Community Access Point program and will provide database operations and other information technology-based training. The Minister also made time for the commissioning of electricity in sections of North Central St. Catherine under the Rural Electrification Program, REP. And the Prime Minister took some time last week to welcome visitors to Jamaica House. On Wednesday, Mrs. Simpson Miller held talks with Shauna Fuller-Clark to get updated on the work she's been doing with a better awareness and support for endometriosis base team. Friday saw Mrs. Simpson Miller bidding farewell to outgoing Japanese ambassador to Jamaica, Yasuo Takasi. She also met with a delegation from power company Marubeni, led by its Chief Operations Officer, Hirosha Miyata. And that's how we close today's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. Join us next time for the latest stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Jamaica's beauty is our duty. Prevent bushfires during the windy, dry season. Remove firewood, dried grass, or bush away from your house. Never use fires to clear land. Never light a fire in an open area when it's windy. Ensure cigarette butts, matches, or other lighting materials are out before disposal. And use an ashtray. Don't throw cigarette butts out of your window. High winds and dry conditions can be a fiery combination. Lend a hand. Protect our land from fires.
In recent weeks, communities in East Rural St. Andrew have been severely affected by fire. We here at the GIS sympathize with those who have been impacted and take the opportunity to share the Agriculture Minister's statement on government's work to bring back some semblance of normality to their lives.
In response to the affected families who have lost their homes and contents, the Welfare Services of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has provided immediate assistance in the form of beds, blankets, mattresses, food packages and other supplies. And compassionate grants are also being prepared at this time. The Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing have given its commitment to replace the homes. The Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with RADA and the other stakeholders, is working with the Coffee Industry Board to ensure the replanting of coffee as soon as this is possible. We have already identified the source of some 100,000 seedlings for replanting in the fall crop starting in September. In addition, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will be assisting with the provision of some inputs to assist with the replanting program. As we go forward, Mr. Speaker, it is important that we do not make a bad situation worse by being careless in the way we clear our lands. And I'm therefore making the strongest possible appeal to our farmers to desist from using burning as a means of clearing land. I'm beseeching our farmers to resist the temptation to light fires. And I urge you to speak to your RADA officers about alternate means of clearing lands. I further appeal to the general citizenry to be more conscious about the impact that our burning practices can have on life, property, and production. Desist, therefore, from indiscriminately throwing your cigarette butts anywhere or everywhere, or lighting fires to get rid of your solid waste.
Streamlining efforts to increase business development in communities and the installation of LED lights across 6 parishes are among the major priorities for the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development. Watch as Minister Noel Arscott tells us more.
The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is working to make our communities the heartbeat of national development.
How? By implementing a number of systems to provide efficient and effective service for all citizens of Jamaica and streamlining the local economic development program to boost entrepreneurship in communities. Improving the management of the country's 8 solid waste disposal sites is a priority for the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development this fiscal year. Already, the National Solid Waste Management Authority (NSWMA) has received a new board of directors chaired by Dennis Chung, who is also chairman of the private sector organization of Jamaica. The NSWMA will also improve its operational plans in the fiscal year. The agency has already successfully covered waste at the Riverton City disposal site and is now moving to reintroduce tipping cells at that and other disposal sites to prevent the rapid spread of fires if they happen.
We will re-establish tipping cells utilizing one cell at a time, and no cell should exceed 5 acres. In keeping with the environmental permit granted by the National Environmental Planning Agency, we'll ensure that all cells are covered once a month and that we always have adequate material on site to cover these cells.
By August of this year, the NSWMA expects to complete work on a fire suppression system for the Riverton City and retirement disposal sites in St. Andrew and St. James. A water pump has already been purchased for Riverton and construction has started on a 125,000-gallon water tank. Work will also begin on a concrete access road to the Riverton site. Rules governing the disposal of old tires will be developed, 10 new compactors will be purchased and old ones repaired, and the enterprise team will continue the process of privatizing disposal sites across the island. The Local Government and Community Development Ministry, through the Social Development Commission (SDC), will also continue to roll out the Local Economic Development LED Support Program in this fiscal year. The aim is to boost entrepreneurship in communities.
SDC is currently managing over 74 projects across the island of a net worth of over $450 million.
The program was officially launched in May by Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. The rehabilitation of roadways will receive equal attention under the parochial road spray patching program.
We have just concluded an MOU with the NWA to utilize their spray patching equipment. So when they are not using it, we are going to use it on many of our local government roads.
68 parochial roads were rehabilitated in the last fiscal year at a cost of $416 million. Markets too, in Ocherias, Santa Cruz and Port Maria will be rehabilitated. And as Jamaica prepares for the Atlantic hurricane season, which begins on June 1, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management will be rolling out a special public education campaign to better prepare citizens for the season. To complement those efforts, the National Simulation Training Exercise Program and the National Safe Schools Initiative for schools and childcare facilities will be launched at the end of this calendar year.
This is a critical benchmark of national acceptance of safety standards and therefore a national preparedness.
The National Building Bill is also expected to be tabled in this fiscal year. Increasing property tax collections is also a priority for the Ministry of Local Government. Local authorities exceeded the property tax collection target in the last fiscal year by collecting approximately $7.4 billion. Top-performing parish councils in Kingston and St. Andrew, Portmore, Hanover, St. James, St. Mary and Westmoreland will receive an incentive.
We're looking towards installing 500 LED powered streetlights and if possible solar in communities island-wide.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, which had the highest property tax collection rate, will also receive $5 million to execute special projects. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, driving economic growth and development.
Our land has been suffering from immorality.
This is Ibo Cooper of Third World, lecturer at Edna Manley College, chairman of Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, saying to Jamaica, whether young or old, look around you and see what you have right throughout the year. I have now filled out 9 passports with traveling, and I've been to every corner of the earth, and there are people who would want what we have. They beg me to come to Jamaica because right now in the Middle East is war. Right now in the north is ice. We have a beautiful place. Please preserve it. Love one another. Like how my granny did tell me to love people. The lady who don't have nothing to eat, a shut in, make sure she's alright. The people them who can walk like me and you, make sure them alright. I see a youth the other day try to rob a blind man. My youth, what you do? We couldn't do them thing there. Help the blind. Help the pregnant lady. Love, you can't beat love.
Jamaica
It takes a village to raise a child, one that's confident, well-adjusted, and one who is productive. We all have to play our part to ensure that our children are safe and protected. We don't want them to grow up in fear of being abused or neglected. Let us do our part to keep them happy and healthy.
May is Child Month, a month where our nation pays tribute to our children, the 809,000 or 29% of our population who are under 18. At the Ministry of Youth and Culture, every day for us is dedicated to our children. We have made significant strides in improving the state's response to children under our care, but this is really being overshadowed by a cultural problem that we've had and not spoken about for a number of years. I know that every well-thinking person in this country has been sickened, horrified, and deeply troubled by the alarming and frequent reports of cases of abuse, rape, and murder. Certainly, it is very horrifying, especially when it happens on a daily basis to the most precious assets of our country, our children. Each time I get a new report from the Child Development Agency or the Office of the Children's Registry, I hurt to my very core because I can understand the pain that the child feels. Mr. Speaker, data suggests that this culture has developed because of a number of practices, but none more glaring than the breakdown in the family structure. And I'm calling on all Jamaicans, particularly the church, teachers, and communities, to pay special attention to our children's need for guidance, mentorship, and protection. We have to move away from my picnic to a my picnic, Mr. Speaker.
I say be careful what you teach your little children. Make sure I know something to hurt them.
Parents, keep your children safe and protected. Stay alert and be aware of where your children are at all times. Submit the latest photo of your child to his or her school. Know what's happening with your child. Listen to them when they say they don't feel comfortable going to a certain place or being around certain persons. Act quickly when your child tells you he or she has been touched inappropriately or approached with unwanted requests. Be the change. Help us protect our children. For more information, call 1-888-776-8328 or 1-876-878-2882. It's the end of Jamaica Magazine for today, but catch the show every day on this station. Your feedback plays an integral role in our affairs. Drop us a line at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm, send us a tweet at JIS News, and please visit our website, jis.gov.jm. You may also download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. On behalf of all of us here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Have yourselves a great evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.